Let's do one room at a time. And I'd like you to answer three questions. So you can nominate someone from your room or share it between you, and kind of like add on to it altogether. You can have 5 minutes each to start off with, and then we'll go into a second phase. The three questions are, one, how did the exercise go? Did you feel like there was clear differentiation of roles? And did those roles unlock capabilities for your group to be effective? So that's a reflection on the process. Two, what were the key insights that you identified? And three, what new potential do you see? And I want you to answer that third one in terms of an image and try to make that as tangible and relatable to CATS participants, everyone in this room, as possible. All right, let's start with the technical team. Before we begin, sorry, any questions on those prompts? Okay, so yeah, over to you, technical team.
Ismail, Daniel, do you agree that I speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I think from the first question, how does the group, the breakout room looks like for us? And is there any possible role distribution that has been discovered? Of course, yes. Yeah, for me, it was a it was an engaging one because almost everybody bring their own different perspective to discussions. And it clearly shows that we have individuals to handle different aspects of the development. So for the number two, what insights are we able to achieve? We actually discussed extensively on 3 points and three things. And that is number one, how do we ensure we have all this data to be processed and to be identified? I mean, the data ownership to respective team and ops, how do we identify that? And how can we make it very more effective or efficient in terms of processing as well? And we were able to discuss and agree for now, or maybe a kind of a tentative agreement to have a single bot instead of the way we have it currently, that we have a bot tracking next trend information directly, and Project Genius have their own, the Cardano of also have their own or boards tracking the image, the data. We can have just one single bot. Probably that will be control, or that will be from Prisma to track all of these timelining data. And how do we now identify from which of this data coming from will be that we have a table created and have some kind of relationship between the hub and the team, and that will be tracked and be stored in the database as well. And when at any point in time there is a query from a validator or anybody asking question directly to a team or a hub, it could be recognized and tracked by the rack system. So that is the first point. And what we agree on, it's not rigid. It could be changed from whatever thing we, for whatever feedback that we get from you guys. Another thing is that we discuss about the Neo4j alternative, and in short, two options were just suggested that we are going to look into as part of what I can say as potential that we discover. So Denu and Born will be explored, and we see how comparable it is to Node.js in terms of efficient and cost effectiveness. And I think the third things that we discuss about, okay, it was actually related to the first point that we agree on. And the fourth one was around analytic part of the process. How do we have all this data visually available to every single person, and for non-technical people to be able to read and understand what is happening on the globe? And so we are discussing around, if you're having all this data to be processed, definitely there will be a lot of API keys to be um, considered. So who should be responsible for these API key provisions? Should it be from up level, or should Prisma be responsible for this? So that was the question that is not yet answered. Um, the potential we've discussed, we like I say for now, is that we have team of domain experts that are ready to explore every possible opportunity to get the work done. Yeah, I want to keep everything short in that way. Thank you. Ismail, Daniel, if you want to add some things, probably that I missed, you can actually also speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul Basit. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. All right, let's move swiftly on to the um, social team. Who would like to present from that group on the three questions? Abdul Rahman, I will have to call you forth, sir. If you'd like to start things off, you can then invite others. If you're there, you don't have to either. Is there anyone that would like to volunteer? What came up in your group? Maybe he's traveling, or you're on mute if you're talking, Abdurrahman. No. Okay. Anyone else would like to give a reflection from the social group? Come on. You can start anywhere. You don't have to follow the three questions. Okay.
So yeah, good morning everyone. Sorry I did join in late, but please confirm if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, can hear you. Good morning, Alfred.
Yeah. So yeah, I did join in late, but I joined between a very interesting conversation and interesting question Tabs was asking when he asked what do I think Ayomi said something about maybe the up lead duty. One of the up lead duties is like okay, giving the team important, passing all information to the teams, and Tabs was asking okay, what do that mean? And so that was like a very interesting conversation because you know, yeah, what does it mean to pass information to teams? So yeah, but coming as ob lead, yeah, because currently now we are, between a place where um most of the organizers, are has their projects in, and so most of the organizers will have information that the ordinary teams, would not have. And in and this was one of the issue we did face, because we're now having a conversation when we hear that, oh, we are going to, like, present three teams. So we're kind of first having the conversation within the organizing team that, okay, how do we go about this? And it got so heated that one person just came in that, why should we be having this conversation within ourselves? That we should take it to the general chat and everybody to be involved. And I was kind of thinking that, okay, um, taking the raw information to them might not be received well. It might be misunderstood. So we have to first refine that information first, and before we now present it, and settle on what we are going to do before we now present it to the team fully. So that was like why it was interesting conversation to me. That's why I kept quiet and listening throughout. Okay, let's see what this will lead to. Maybe I'm going to learn something new, because it's now like, okay, at this moment, is the up lead withdrawing information from the rest of the team, or what, or my perspective where I was coming from was right? Because now where my perspective is coming from is like, most of these teams do not fully understand the Prisma, the wider process and everything. And I'm not holding that back from them. Many times I've shared the documents with them that, oh, you can go into documents and read it. Every information is transparent. Every information you need is out there. Most time where even how I receive information is through the wider forum calls. So you can also join the wider forum calls and still get information. But most of them don't still do it and expecting the up lead, to give them information. So, and so if you're not receiving information directly from them and getting to me, me giving to you, I also have my own interpretation, and you might misunderstand it from me. So before I can come and deliver the information to you, I must be able to refine it myself and meet you at the current level of understanding, contextual understanding you have. But most people still find that, kind of, okay, no, this guy is holding back some information. So to me, that was an interesting conversation. And well, I don't know if I didn't listen attentively, but I think along the way taps left, and I think that conversation kind of shifted and went into something else. I don't know if maybe that can now be discussed, maybe yeah or now. So thank you.
Hey, thanks, Alfred. Thanks, Alfred. Is there anyone else from that group that would like to build on what Alfred has shared, or share any more from their group? Just feel free. Um, okay, so we have we split into these two breakout rooms, one social, one technical. Um, the reason we did that was to deepen the inquiry into how can we best deliver on creating a evaluation perspective for this network where there is multiple hubs and they all have their own timelining apps. They're all generating their own insights. Um, and we're all part of this one network, so we need an evaluation perspective at the global level. So we we used those two breakout rooms, or the aim was to use those two breakout rooms to explore um, that inquiry further. How can we best do that? And now it's interesting because I feel like we need to weave those two halves back together. I feel like they're two halves of the same whole, or two sides of the same coin, social and technical. Because a lot of the technology is to support the organizing process as well, which is very social. So they both complement together. They both go together. I think one thing that well, thank you first of all for engaging in that exercise. I think one thing that we still need to understand or explore a little more is how to organize between now and the Nairobi summit. Because I think it is actually a lot of complexity to address. When I dipped into the technical room at the end, um, hey Morgan, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're just wrapping up, but it's good to have you here anyway. So when I dipped into the technical room at the end, me and Abdul Basit were exploring a question of kind of like the architecture and the API keys and how to bring order to all of that complexity. And we both kind of finished with, God, it's complex. It's a lot of complexity. So I think this is an ongoing um, design inquiry or an ongoing inquiry that we can keep designing for. Um, and yeah, fortunately, there's some very promising beginnings. Daniel presented a really wonderful demo of how much progress they've made in the Nairobi hub. And I think that's kind of given clarity to some other hub leads that they can take steps forward as well on implementing more of the back end of the timelining system for themselves. Um, because I think one thing I'm taking away from this call is that, and I've just seen your hand, Alfred, I'll pass to you in a second. One thing I'm taking away from this call is that we can address more of that complexity as we go and kind of cross the bridges when we come to it. So yes, hubs are encouraged to develop upon their timelining systems for now, and we'll try to address the protocol needs or the integration needs as soon as possible and frequently as we go. That's one thing that I'm taking away from this. Alfred, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you. So I know, yes, Nairobi Hub had figured out their timelining. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know if any representative from there is here and could, like, put the rest of us, put us through on how, we could also go about figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, maybe I'll just I think that's a good question. I'll offer it to Dan to respond to that.
Um, do you mean us to respond to that?
Yeah. Go for it.
All right, thank you. Um, the point is that it is not that I don't know, maybe for your all, I'm Alfred, I don't know for your all. Maybe the issue is that we are thinking initially to have a kind of a global level perspective of designing how we represent the data and building the dashboard for a kind of a global representation, not particularly to be from all. I'm saying this not because I don't know how to put it. I'm only saying this to emphasize that not that all of us do not know what to have been done as regard that, but we are looking for a kind of a unified agreement or perspective for building a kind of globalized visual this thing. But from what the Cardano Hub has done, I think it's good that we shift from that very perspective. You have the backend application directly to your hub. All data is there that you can, your technical guys can look into it. So the best thing you can do is to look into how you can build a kind of a front end to represent all this data that has been received. So that is first. And another thing is processing the data itself, going around through all these factorizing the data, probably to some extent. I don't know how far you all have the development capacity to go, but from the point of understanding of what we actually want the application to do, I think it's a lot of things to be done or to be considered. Yeah, I'm saying that you can look into that. I mean, ask your team to look into that. It's not as if Cardano or Daniel have a kind of a playbook to that. I don't know, but he can actually share if you want that. Though he presented the application already, and we've seen that what they have achieved so far. And he has answered a lot of questions. So I don't know if he will be willing to do that again to answer your question, or just let you to understand. Your technical guys has to go back to the timeline and applications, look into it, and see how they can leverage on whatever possible data that has been tracked and visualize them. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, if it has been done before, it can always be replicated. So I don't know, maybe after the call once we have time, I can reach out to Cardano Hub Nairobi and maybe fix a meeting and we can discuss on how we can also do that. So, but on a global level, I think one of the challenges we're having is the cost of organizing it on a global level. Please correct me if I'm wrong about that.
What do you mean when you say the cost?
I think
Like,
it's one of the challenges.
okay, one of the challenges, and also the
Yeah.
complexity that is related to organizing it on a global level, right?
Yes.
So this is
Yeah.
something that we could decentralize within ops. Like, okay, ops can try to figure this out on their own up level, and then look for a way to connect it to to um to the Prisma level, to the global level. That
Mhm.
is one way we could go and look. That is one way we could look about it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were touching on before this idea of protocols to standardize certain interface touch points so that at least we know, okay, the global level is expecting this, the hub needs to make this available. And then if with that link, we can send data.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, let's wrap it up there. We'll do a final round of checkouts, key takeaways from this call, and then we'll call it a day. So anyone that would like to please contribute for this final checkout round and then pass it to someone else. And if
Okay.
you would
So
like to just, yeah,
yeah,
Alfred.
sorry, I still have kind of question. So what's the timeline for this? Like, when
Yeah.
it's not something that is a blocker or needed towards the summit, right?
No, it's not a blocker. I think it's like a bonus, like an extra, um, a side quest.
Okay. So is it something that, yeah, if we really want to do it, then we have to like add it as part of the pipeline that I want to do it. But because if we say that, oh, if we can do it, yeah, then it's a bonus. But if we can't do it, then it's fine. Then I think that answers the question that we won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because once that is the nature of human being, that is psychology behind human being. If you get the option of avoiding a work, we will definitely avoid it. So if
Yeah.
it's something you want to do, and if it's technically visible, that we could do it, then something that could make it part of like, okay, we need to do this, and then set up a timeline for that and set up a workflow for that I want to do it.
Yeah.
That was how I was asking. Because, and also that's also, I don't know for other people, but to me, it adds more like mental workload because I feel that, oh, we need to figure this out, we need to figure this out. And some people might not even fully understand, maybe people that join the conversation halfway might feel that, oh, um, this is happening, and like they get confused on what is going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I think to answer that, it has been settled already. And the best way we can do is that I believe for we, the uplead, we have a full picture of what we're trying to achieve. And the best way to achieve this is to effectively communicate the end point, or I mean the end goal of this timelining to all participating teams. And I think I did that in the breakout room before we started the conversation, in case there is anyone that does not understand the end goal. And that helps. Yes, that helps for all of us to be able to participate at the end of the day. So what could be best approach is to make sure that for everybody that understand it and their own respective org can make it as a duty for themselves to explain it better what we are trying to achieve all this while. And from there, we can have a very strong thing to do. And to the point, to the question, to the point of, are we going to do it? If you can do it, do it. If you cannot do it, not do it. Yeah, I think I understand your point of view from that, but I always have this feeling that this is not something that we are doing for the short time. We don't know what future hold for us. And of course, if you are able to do it as a hub for now, that could be a kind of a plus. Like Tab said, it could be a bonus for you when that time comes. You have figured it and you do it already. And when that time comes, that is more important for every hub to do it, you will have to go through the stress that point in time. And you can be a leading point for any other hub that can come in. And for that reason, I'm just saying, you can say, oh, for the fact that I've done it when it is not really convenient for me, if you are coming in to request for this assistance, I'm charging you for this. I'm only saying, I'm not saying to charge anybody. So it could be anything. So that's my own uh, reflection to that question.
Yeah, thank you. As always, Basit. Yeah, so why I'm asking this question is because there are two things going on here. We have the long-term vision and we have the short-term goals. So, and laying this out explicitly and with clear communication is very good because now to me, let's say for example, majority of ops are able to figure out this timelining and you get to the global stage. And then this become currently now it's a non-functional requirement. If you can do it, fine. If you can do it, it's also okay. Some ops now become lazy and don't do it. So now let's say that 50% of ob were able to do that, and we get to the global stage, and maybe we're now trying to like, okay, the second competition to figure out the top five. So then once maybe things changes and maybe what our prisma saw that okay 50% of ops were able to figure this out, now include it as part of a functional requirement that okay, yes, now we'll be using those timelining as part of grading criteria or part of judges can now go and let's chat with those timelining and ask some question. And so now this will now be unfair to the 50% of the job that could not figure it out. And it's not their fault because this was clearly said it was not a functional requirement. So like I want us like, and sorry, this is this is coming from like from a personal perspective now, from a personal level now, because why we are trying to like to figure out a long-term process, try to like purely organize this. We also need to be self-aware of the impact of what changes, of what structures or processes have relating to this hackathon itself. And I don't know, maybe the conversation about the evaluation have been held before I joined, and that is where it's actually coming from, you know, because some one of the team reached out to me, and one of the things he said was like they did not lose due to merit, they lost due to the process, and I could like attest to that also that yes, true. Well, yeah, because and I myself, as helpfully like because I kind of like I pulled everybody out of that comfort zone. Like I was like on everyone's neck that okay, we need to follow the Prisma process. And at the end of the day, they found out that it's that process that failed them. Because they could have because I observed I went through most of the winners, most of the top projects from each hub. And I went there and one thing I noticed, one pattern that I noticed for there was like most of those projects are projects that is relating to like let's say waste, um, um, health, process that relate to like okay, the the other definition of regenerative, the other definition of regenerative, whereby you are like a circular economy, you are reusing, that was most projects that focus on commerce, you know, did not actually make it, you know. And I feel maybe this might come from the perspective of one of the evaluators. That okay, what the evaluators believe in is that maybe he is interested in waste products, waste projects, health projects, and so like, but according to the process of the evaluation itself, it's kind of a rank process that each hub has 3 to 4. It's already listed there that each hub has 3 to 4 evaluators in your for your own hub. So to me, I believe I was thinking that okay, any evaluator that is not part of this theory process, part of those three evaluators given to us, their ranking wouldn't be considered. Because now I now see that the first ranking that okay, we have 3 evaluators. One evaluator, if he gives it based on one, two, three, second evaluator gives 1, 2, 3. And so those ranking always come from those 3 evaluators. And there will be kind of, let me not say first, but they'll be kind of encouraged that okay, the calculation won't we won't be able to proceed with calculation if the 3 of you did not rank this particular hub. So like, so the whole process is like I understand, and now when we are trying to have the conversation in the Telegram group, I believe we are driving the conversation towards more of oh yeah, we did not get it now, or yes, there are concerns now, but we are time constraints. We need to move forward and think about the larger vision. But currently in this stage now, some people feel towards our short-term goals, which is the summit, they feel that they have been cheated. They feel that things has been unfair towards the short-term goal. So what I'm just trying to say here is like, okay, like even though we are trying to focus on the long-term goal, we should also understand that we need to be clear about some things for the short-term goal. So let's make things clear. If the timelining will be something that if it is, if it succeeds, it is something that will have impact on the picking top 5 teams in the global stage, then we should make it in a functional requirement now and make that very clear. But if it won't, then let's take it out totally. Let's not take it that okay, if you get it, it's a bonus. If you don't get it, it's a bonus. So I just want that clear communication of what our functional requirement for our short-term goal, which is the summit, and then we can keep working towards our long-term vision. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alfred. Thanks for bringing all of those points. I really empathize with what you're saying, and I agree with you that there were some clear shortcomings of the process, the way that it went, and that the data is not as reliable uh, as we would like it to be. And I hear you that for many teams, this is feeling not representative of where they think a fair, what a fair evaluation would look like. Um, do you have any perspective on how this could be addressed? And specifically, actually, before we get into that, let's just be clear on the on how on the shortcomings themselves. Because while yeah, I need to understand that fully. If you could clarify that for me. And maybe you want to respond to that first, before we hear from Abdul Basit.
Okay. So one of the short actually saw two short comments, which is firstly like basic to the relating specifically to the evaluation process. And okay, firstly, I'm not or let me say sorry. When it comes to things like this, I don't use the right words, but I hope it's we understand that. So I'm not criticizing the evaluation process itself, the whole technology and everything. That it's very perfect, you know, and most like any other system or processes that we human think to come up with, and the shortcomings are not always in the systems or those processes or those methodologies. The shortcomings are always in us, the humans. Like for example, this evaluation process. I think the shortcoming was like, okay, there was not enough evaluators. Yeah, so I understand that, and so, but now relating to that now, um, where the shortcomings I saw is that um, there are some evaluators that did not actually um, do their evaluating, they didn't do their ranking, and so that's a shortcoming from the woman side. And also there are some evaluators that was over, like they were enthusiastic and um, um, excited that they did the ranking for all the orbs, and even though orbs that they were not assigned to. Now, those two shortcomings is that why we need more than one perspective for for a for evaluation to go on it is because you can get different perspective, you know, and basically different. I would love if there could be in different sector. In fact, if I was thinking that okay, after this, after the summit and everything, maybe after this next upcoming studio session, I'll give the idea of like, okay, let us categorize it. Like we'll ask evaluators to ask sectors that are interested in. Are you interested in healthcare? Interested in circular economics? Interested in commerce? And then you can also list out projects based on those sectors on the map itself. And then we can now each at least each ops should have, or maybe each project should have evaluators from different perspectives so that they can, because yeah. So now on the shortcomings I saw is like firstly some evaluators that were not assigned to the hub, their data was counted, and most evaluators did not do the evaluation. So that is two shortcomings I see that cannot be, we cannot blame anyone. We cannot blame anyone for that because first of all the evaluation was not paid. So, and suggestion to solution I can give to this is that if the evaluation in that case now in this current phase that we are, whereby we know why we're still trying to figure it out, because that is the best way to do it, to go about it if it's done from the global level, you know. But for this current process we are, since we don't have enough evaluator, it's either this can be delegated to the ops to run the evaluation, which we actually did. in our hub, yeah, in the Genius hub. We actually did that because one of us got the email. We thought, okay, it's now the hub duties to provide their top projects. So we never knew. In fact, it was confusing when we watched the videos of you introducing the this thing to evaluators and inviting them over. I was like, hold on, what is going on here? I thought it's not the ops that is choosing the top projects, and we have already done that. And the process we went with that is like, okay, in Genius was like we kind of for 1 week straight, or yes, 1 week we were having conversation of even arguments on how should we go about this. Some people were like favoring, okay, let us go and bring external judges. Some people were saying that, okay, no, let's within ourselves, let's choose someone. And we finally settled for a consent-based Socratic system, whereby the teams themselves were the one that graded themselves. What we just did that we list out the functional requirements. We said that, okay, according to Prisma, this is what they want. Your ground truth, like we list out 4 key points for them to provide that data, and then we created a anonymized system whereby we provide each team with other teams projects and their submissions. That okay, grade them based on those 4. Like okay, on ground truth, who do you think got it? And okay, our target is like we are not competing in-house, but instead we are looking for the best projects that can fully represent us and get this top first position on the global stage. This is not a competition within us, but which project do you think is the best that can fully represent us on the global stage? So let's not try to come from a selfish perspective, but on a like, okay, we are one, yeah. And then, okay, did the ranking that, okay, inside these 8 teams, we take out their own teams. So you are going to grade, inside these 9 teams, you are going to grade only 7 teams. You won't be grading your own. So in the ground truth, who do you think did it the most? You have to grade it from, okay, I feel this person did it the most. I give this person first position, give this person third position. So, and for that, we did that for all 4 deliverables. So it means a project might get first in ground truth, get second in their potentialize, like their hypothesis, on the 4 deliverables that listed. So they might get first, they get second, and then we did all this average and graded it, and we got our top 3. Like we got from our first to our 7th. And even at that too, most people also did not, there's also shortcomings there. But we could proceed forward because then this time around, it was the team that did it. Me and Morgan, we did not participate in that. I didn't even know the results. It was one guy that, see the result, did the calculation and everything. So I did. And one thing we also did there was like we provided a tab for rationale. So if you are giving this particular score to this person, you must also give rationale, and like a strong rationale to that. So that was the whole process. Like we all did it, and came up with the top project. So in this case, solution I could give like, okay, either 1, this could be delegated to the ops. Okay, provide us your top project. Or 2, ops could now be told like to at least provide 1 or 2 evaluators. Bring us 1 or 2, like part of your functional requirement that bring us 1 or 2 evaluators from your bioregion or from your network. We need at least, we know that each hub has at least 1 or 2, and then we can now limit their evaluation to what they can carry. Because currently, I think the way it was being done is like, okay, yeah, we are delegating you to these 2 or 3 hubs, but if you have the time, you can run freely as you like. I think that there's also a shortcoming that like we should make it restricted to like, okay, we know you don't have time, so we want you to give your whole time to just these 2 hubs, and just leave it at that. Don't be overexcited, overzealous, and go through 1 or go through hubs, because that would make the data inconsistent. So yeah, I don't know, I've rambled a lot, and I don't know if you're able to pick everything I said. So that's my 2 solution. But at this moment, I think the most feasible solution is like, okay, any ops that is having issue with their that has concern with the teams that I think is going to represent them, I think wider and Prisma to think about, consider the idea of now dedicating it to the hub to go and figure it out and provide us your top team. Thank you.
Yeah, Abdul Basit. Thank you, Alfred. I've been taking note of everything. Thanks for sharing them.
All right. Thank you very much. I wasn't really interested in having this conversation on this session because it's specifically for something else. But I was waiting for the forum and later in the evening to have the discussion. So since Alfred started it, I want to bring in my own perspective. And I really want to go more deep because Alfred said almost everything I would have said. um, we are not challenging, or let me say, individually, I am not challenging the process or the method. We were all informed of how it would look like and what it will be, and we consented to that. What we are trying to challenge here is the outcome of the process, not the process itself. Now, when we all see that and we all agree that this is how it will look like, but eventually the outcome says otherwise, what the expectation should look like. 3 evaluators are assigned to respective hubs. They were to evaluate the 3 spotlighted teams. Fine. What we expect is that all the 3 evaluators to exercise their to discharge their duties as expected. Well, we could just pretend that there's nobody to be assigned blame. We could pretend to do that to ensure a kind of ethical communication or so. But sometimes I always want to be very be factual and be sincere with my feelings. And I say some stuff sometimes and get on people's nerves and all of that. But I'm trying to watch that lately. So if you are to say, I could say evaluator were to be blamed, to be honest with you. When you know that you won't be available to discharge your duty as expected, I think there shouldn't be any point you agree to do that in the first place. The fact that you are voluntary does not mean that. One thing I believe in my own life is that what's worth doing is worth doing well. You choose to volunteer to do the work. Yeah, we expect the best from you to do. I understand the point as well that because I'm doing it for free, I can just do as I like. Now, if that is the case, I don't think we as the receiving people should bear that very particular irregularity. I mean, the cost, because sometimes there is this saying that cheap sometimes is too expensive. Yeah, I don't mean that it is something that is paid service. We can hold them responsible, accountable for their actions. But because it is just, please help us do this for free, then they choose to do whatever they want. And the cost now is that the ob lead, or let me say the ob have to agree or forcefully accept the decisions that are not really consistent. And like Alfred said, every single hub have an evaluation framework as I speak, as we speak now, right from when we are asked to provide the top 3 to be spotlighted. And during that course, I'm very sure that every hub must have done the same thing. That it could be a different process, but one particular thing is certain. Every hub will have the ranking of the presented 3 spotlighted teams based on what we believe you are requesting from us. Yeah, I think that is from our own process. We couldn't settle for any other options. Why we consider a lot of things. The same feelings or the same intentions that Alfred shared that he had in their own hub, the same thing that we communicated in our own hub as well. Thank God we have most of participating team on this call from our hub as well. So we let it very clear to everybody that this is hub level things. We are not competing against ourselves on the local level. We are going there on the global stage to compete with other ops. So that was what make it easier for us to agree collectively on the approach we used. And everybody consent and agree to the ranking that we had during the process. So believing that we will have a very best evaluation process, and whatever happens, then we accept it. So we, as from our own up, we are not fighting whoever win from the three spotlighted team. What we are fighting is that my up could have been the winner if the evaluation has been done correctly. Yeah, the notion is there for everything now, right now, as I speak. Okay, if all the three teams must have evaluated my own particular project as well, the result could have this result might change if this happened, if that happened, and if this happened. So the fact that we have that very inconsistency make it very clear that it shouldn't be something that could be forced or should be forced on us to accept if we reject that very result. Now, I understand the constraint that the organizing team are trying to make bookings as early as possible to save costs, working on budget. To be honest with you, that has been a lot of statements that not sit well with me, in all honesty. We have this process not just yesterday. We know all these things will happen not just yesterday. Why do we delay all of that thing until now? And we have to be the one receiving that. We have to bear that very I don't know. Like, if you are running away from saying that we don't want to blame anyone, we might not find out I mean, if we want to accept that we don't want to say, okay, this person should be responsible for this outcome, I don't think we are positioning ourselves to not repeat the same mistake next time. But if we can have a very hard conversation, I will understand where the problem is coming from and who should be responsible for whatever outcome, then I think we can be able to devise what could be a future best approach to follow. And of course, it is important as well to consider the short-term goals as well. So, like I said, in our own up, speaking from my own intuition, we are satisfied with whatever result that could have been. I didn't mean that the evaluation process is accurate. But the fact that there is that very option that no, one team got evaluated by two evaluators, and the other team got one just evaluations, I bring that very kind of rejection that no, this is not correct. We can accept this and all of that. And if you are saying that because you want to do the booking very early, you want to do all of these things, so we can't call the evaluators back again due to resource constraint, whatever the case may be, or possible things. Probably you should allow the op. Some ops might agree to the result. It's possible and it's okay for them. But for ops that does not want to accept this, I think they should be given that very privilege to present their best team that they think it can best compete at the global level. That's the main objective of we from our own org. Like, allow the team, allow the org, let them organize within themselves as of now, given the time frame. Okay, even though you want to make it very compulsory and add stop to make the booking to happen tomorrow, I bet with you, if you make the announcement now and all org receive it very correctly, they take the process and they provide the best thing they believe they can best represent their hub at the national level. So that's the only solution that I see that is very feasible and achievable in the remaining times without sacrificing more times for whatever bookings that we want to do or whatever it is. But one thing that is clear from me, one thing that is very, very that I'm very, very interested about is that if you are portraying this community as a self-organizing and a decentralized network, whatever the case may be, I don't think we should be forced to accept the result as it is as of now. Please note, we are not fighting the process. We are not fighting the method. We are only fighting the outcome. The process is okay. It is very good. I didn't mean that all evaluator that has been assigned to respective hub has discharged their duty as expected. There won't be any cause for alarm. Everybody will just accept it and say, "Yeah, wow, that is it." We don't want to even ask question of from what perspective you evaluated from. Nobody can come forward and ask that question. As an evaluator, I can see things differently. Why we all believe that no, this could be our best project from whatever we are thinking. An evaluator will come from different perspective. If that is the argument, you can say no from the organizing team. No, we don't accept that because evaluation can come from different perspective. You can see yourself as the best, and why other external people come see, they can evaluate you, and you understand, yeah, I'm lacking in this regard. But that is not the case in this regard. So please, staffs, may I will be soliciting and I'll be requesting humbly to please look into this, let what our team understand our plea, and allow the org to present their best final first ranking team to represent them at the global level. I think this is not a peculiar or particular concern of a particular org, it is general. But for some of that are very okay with it, fine. But for us that are not okay with that, allow them that very agency to speak for themselves at this point. And this is because of how the evaluation result looks like. I didn't mean that it is not the case, everybody would have accepted whatever the outcome is. So this is not me saying that, oh, I'm representing a particular interest or whatever the case may be. I'm representing the interest of our community and the org at large. Like I said, all of the participating teams are here. A member of the spotlighted teams are also here. They're listening to me and they can understand what I'm saying very perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Abdul Basit. Very well spoken, sir. Yes, I hear you. And I think between you and Alfred, you've surfaced some very strong alternative paths forwards. And I'm glad that you have shared those. Yeah, I hear all of your points. I really do. And I want to reaffirm that I am fully in service of uh, of your process. This is your process. So our role as Prisma is just facilitating your self-organizing, as you're rightly pointing out. Um, I think that allowing for the hubs to overrule the results is, or maybe it shouldn't be termed overrule, allowing for the hubs to um, choose to use their own internal evaluation results is a genuine option that I think has merit and um, and I think that could be a real path forwards for your hub, Abdul Basit. I don't know if that will be appropriate for every hub, but we can make it an option and say, hey, um, this hub is choosing to do this. Maybe. Maybe I'll say this to, the WADA team and they'll say, Tabs, don't don't be speaking like that. But I think it's a good idea. Um and I think if you do that, it would be really good for us to have a call with all of the team leads at least, just so that we can have evidence of everyone being in the same room and everyone being aligned on this. Um, so yes, for that one. For Alfred, um, yeah, I think that first possible solution that's listed there of using the hub rankings, I think that is well, it's basically the same as what Abdul Basit is saying. Um, I mean, one idea from the conversations we've been having with WADA the last few days is to count the hub evaluation as one evaluation contribution. So it's like however you ranked the teams, that adds to the points. Um, that's maybe a middle ground between just choosing to go by your own evaluations. But I can bring this back as a suggestion to the wider team. So it's two options to consider there, the middle ground one and the more absolute one. And the same thing, I think the more assurance that we can generate in terms of like having a call, having everyone in the room and hearing your sense making that you've been doing, I think that would actually be really strong. I think this could be, um, yeah, like a really powerful story in itself. So, yeah. Morgan, I saw you unmuted at one point. Did you want to say something?
Not really. My network was shaking, so that's why I left and came back in.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I will take those possible solutions back and I will make those suggestions to the to my co-organizers and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm wondering, so I always need to think about uh what this means if everyone starts to do this then. And there are certain risks as well. There are risks like um, where maybe in some hub contexts, there's not so clear of a relationship and responsibilities um, between the hubs and the teams, and maybe the hubs could then use this, the hub team could use this to just get their get their favorites into the top team. So maybe there is something to consider there. Maybe that we need to be careful about how this is communicated. Um, but yeah, for now, what I'll say is I'll bring this back and I'll discuss it with everyone. And yeah, I think also, yeah, I heard this second possible solution in what you were saying, Alfred, which is to actually try to re-invite the evaluators and try to increase the number of evaluations. Um, and yeah, if we do that, then make sure that the hubs end up, or that all teams end up with the same number of evaluations. Um, yeah, that's something that we can do, and I think that would be quite a strong um, next step because it would be less like uncertain, less opening up to more uncertainty. Um, because if we make this change where we now say hubs can use their own evaluations, um, if in some hubs they weren't very thorough with that internal evaluation, then you could imagine in 3, 4 days' time, some more teams, different teams and hub leads come back and say, "Oh no, no, that doesn't work for us because this and that, la la la." Um, so it has the risk of becoming like a continual rolling process of just more and more preferences needing to be heard. All right, couple of hands raised. Let's Abdul Basit, yours is first.
Okay. I think we shouldn't uh take these too far in the sense that we have a process already. I mean, respective of, as of now, must have a process already to have selected their first three team to be spotlighted. It could be possible that they explore the same process, just leverage more data and consider some more data as to what has been provided from respective teams to go around that. I don't think that should take more time. And if that is not considered, if that shouldn't be considered, it could be optional. And the way it is communicated. And if we can have, if we want to, I don't know how best this could be communicated, but I would prefer that it should be communicated through the hub hub lead as the result itself is communicated through hub lead. I don't know for every other hub, but myself, I always make it a duty to report exactly the same information that was sent to me. Sometimes I take screenshot of these messages sent to all consigned teams so that you can see what is needed and what it is. Or perhaps we have the core and have every single person, team lead across all the teams. We have this communicated. This is the issue, and this is the request from the hub lead. Yeah, I personally am not running away from that. And I bet with all other hubs as well. Nobody is running away from that. It is very clear, inconsistent issues that everybody can agree to. And we are taking this process, your hub, to go back and present us the first ranking teams. If you can't achieve that in this also defined time, this evaluation result will be considered for your hub. So with that, all will come with the excuse that no, we can't do this later at the end of the day. Whether it is 24 hours you want to give, you want to give 48 hours, 72 hours, 100 days, or whatever. So the conditions should be that go back, give us your best ranking team, or at this point in time of the day, we consider the existing evaluation result. Yeah, I think that would be the best approach to communicate that. I don't know if that is okay with everybody here.
Yeah, okay. So I heard two conditions that need to be met to allow for hubs to be able to use their own evaluations. One is a certain time frame where they confirm what those rankings are, and two, um, I don't think you said this, but it came to mind, evidence of their own internal evaluation process. So, do you have that documented somewhere, Abdul Basit, the process that you used to work out those evaluations?
Yes, let me quickly, I think I shared on the group earlier before now. Let
Okay,
me try and find the link and send on this group so that everybody can go through it as well.
that's fine. So we could collect that evidence, and in that way, it seems more. And then three is we need to do a call with everybody and hear everybody be like, yeah, we're aligned. This is what we want to do.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Abdul Basit. Alfred.
Yeah, I think I'll let Morgan go first because I'm kind of now shifting the conversation to somewhere else. So I don't know if Morgan still has something to say on this conversation.
Uh, I was also not I also didn't want to talk about evaluation here though. I was hoping to talk about evaluation on the WADA call. And from all the options given, I think personally I will gravitate towards the option tabs mentioned, the one of getting I think the evaluators to just come back and complete the quota so every team has the same number of evaluators. And I think I'm going to bring it up with WADA because I had like reservations from the very beginning. Um due to bias about organizers participating in the hackathon, and being part of the evaluation process. Because I felt it to, kind of like bring in internal sentiment even in Hub, because there are clearly going to be some teams who are not so close to the organizers and some who are, a little closer to the organizers. And so participating and then evaluating to kind of like felt off. So, the kind of like the how will I put it now, the most or the thing to kind of like make the balance at the end of the day from my perspective was that okay, after we are done what we're doing internally, WADA has their own evaluators that will come look at it and pick, the guys who are to go to Nairobi by merit. So all this while, the safeguard has been, at the end of the day, WADA we get to pick. So if anything is going to happen internally, maybe some bias here and there, WADA are going to have their own, or Prisma actually, I don't know, like it will be some external evaluators to come and pick by merit. I think at first it was to pick the best five across all hubs, and then it later on it transformed to picking, one per hub with the hub lead. So, that's been, what I kind of like respected all this while. And in my hub in particular, I think myself and I think most of the organizers, I don't think any of us really participated in the evaluation process to like kind of like make it, unbiased and fair. So that is what I have to say about evaluation.
Okay, thanks, Morgan. Just before we move on to you, Alfred, I just want to confirm or clarify something because you're making a great point. If we had people from the organizing team that were also evaluating the projects, that would introduce or could introduce some bias. So what came to mind here is this evaluators list, which I hope you've all seen. And these are all the people that did the evaluation. To get onto this list, they had to fill out a form which was locked with a password, which we shared only with them. So only genuine evaluators could fill out this form. And these are all external people that haven't been involved in the program at all, apart from like Abdul Rahman. He was the past participant from Accra and was offering mentorship. He's on this call as well. Hey, Abdul Rahman. But he's not been in the organizing team, and I don't think really there's much bias with any hubs or teams. Same for Echo, also because they're both from Accra and there's no Accra hub in this program. However, so that's that. All the people on this list are external, apart from this guy, Tabs. Um, and I just wanted to confirm that although I'm on this list, I filled out that form as to create a placeholder card. So I didn't actually submit any evaluations. It was just, I was meant to delete this, but it was relatively low priority compared to everything else. So I just wanted to confirm that to say that I didn't do any evaluations and everyone else was external. I hope that was clarifying. Okay.
I sent the link to your DN tabs. I don't know. I couldn't send it in the chat. Probably you
Okay.
check and drop it on the chat for anybody that want to look at it.
Sure. Sure.
So you will find the process at the bottom line of this page. Almost towards the ending of the page, you find a process that we too can do our own evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alfred.
Yeah, I saw Kamal add up. I don't know. Kamal,
Oh, I think he dropped off. Oh no, you were there.
he's still here. You have something to say? Okay, so since he's not here, let me just go ahead. Yeah, I was kind of shifting the conversation now back to the long term. I just I just give out because even in the chat itself, I did not I when other people were like bringing up their concerns, I did not even bring it up because firstly, when it was sent to our mail that these are the winners, I accepted it already, regardless of. But when you dropped the document in the Telegram, I was not like, oh, something is wrong here, and I just kept quiet and just proceeded because why, and I think that was mostly what Morgan was referring to when he said organizers participating in you know in the team itself, because as an organizer, surely um, obviously there will be teams that are closer to me than any other team, and even our up to one of I think two of the organizers are part of the project. Kamal himself here is as a project, and the person, our technical support lead, he also that is Fola, the person that wrote the Project Genius weekly Substack articles. He also has a project himself. So why I did not want to say anything about it was so it doesn't look like I'm pushing from one team or the other. But then I could just sit back also when you finally listed out it was what even triggered my time, even trying to like, okay, now let me just give out my grievances, was like when you listed out the um when you're trying to explain the calculations and data point, I was not like, oh, then there's lots of inconsistency and gap in this that I actually did not support. And also, we also came up with our in-house evaluation process, and the teams were okay with it. That even me, like as an organizer, I did not participate in it. So no team can come to me and say I'm biased because you guys did your evaluation yourself. Like the teams did the evaluation, I was not involved. So you guys chose your top projects yourself. So yeah, and now I want to shift conversation towards like, okay, now towards the long term goal or the long term building development of this process. Now we have considered um, evaluation to be one of, if not the most important process in all this, because this now determines, like, this is the payoff for the hard work people have put in. This is almost the payoff of the hard work, because, and one of the challenges in the startup world, or even in normal marketings, is that most teams end up like complaining that oh, my project was better than that person's, and they pick that person's, and mostly these are one of the concerns I also have in hackathons, normal hackathons, because most of normal hackathons sometimes go for the most loudest person in the room. They go for the team that can seduce them the most. And trust me, I'm coming from a personal experience, because me, I do participate in hackathon. There was a time I participated in hackathon, and I'll be genuinely interested in, like, okay, coming up with a project that that has a potential, that can end up becoming something real, but end up don't winning, and I have to switch towards, okay, since that's the case, let me just, because people that end up winning are people that know the judges, and know what they like, and try to like look at into their psychology. Okay, this judges is in this sector. If I do a project relating to that sector, it's going to like it, and it's going to like be able to relate and resonate more with me. And so people end up doing that, even though they know that project doesn't have potential. They just do it and get the money and move on. So it got to a stage that, okay, well, I also needed this money, so let me start doing that. Whereby, then I won't take my normal projects into accounting. I can just do something that I work by myself. So these are one of the challenges, that I've been faced in, let's say, in things like this in the startup world, because real projects that actually has potential are not being selected because maybe the evaluators made a subjective judgment. So I think it's not something that we now really need to sit down and fully draft out this evaluation process, because now this is how teams will be selected. Let's say how teams will be spotlighted. Like, let's say, for example, I'm also self-aware to the fact that even I myself, even in the up level, we might have not spotlighted a team that had the potential. Might not have spotlighted a team that had the potential, but it's a rush time, and we leaders have to like come up with a process. And so I believe that, okay, we might have made mistake there, and to be honest, our target for the evaluation process was towards us not being biased. Like, okay, let's come up with a process that everyone walks away happy. So that's okay. And to me, the best solution to that was like, okay, you guys do your evaluation yourself. At least if you guys do, no one will meet me on the road and say that, oh, after I supported the team, you chose the team yourself. So my target of coming up with that process, like, okay, let me do something that satisfies what these people want. So no one will come to me and accuse me of anything. So during that process, a team that actually have potential might have been lost due to like human sentiment. So we really love if we could come up, like, we could actually sit down and have this conversation of, okay, how can we design a evaluation process that gives merited teams the opportunity to get out there, yeah. But this is not like a conversation we could have now. Maybe after the summit we could keep having this conversation.
Okay, thanks, Alfred. I think now is the time to have this conversation, and yeah, what was coming to mind as you were speaking is that how cool would it be if we basically made clear what evaluation approach the hubs have chosen for themselves to bring those teams to Nairobi. Because really, this evaluation from the external evaluators, as you're rightly pointing out, has in some ways they're less in touch with your context and the contexts that your teams are working on. And I also think that what you're both speaking to, Alfred and Abdul Basit, is that um, there is a how to say there is right relationship between hubs and the teams, and actually uh, that's very good if that relationship is there. That's the kind of role that the hubs are meant to be playing. They're meant to be there to support the teams. Um, in Abdul Basit's case, I will say, I know that Abdul Basit, you're also on one of the teams, right? So it's a little bit some more nuance to work through there. I think Alfred, that you weren't participating on the team level does make things a little bit clearer. Um, but yeah, just as you were speaking, Alfred, towards the end there, I had this I could imagine, I could picture on the globe for each hub card or creating a new tab that says like evaluation outcome and then having a little field where it says evaluation methodology chosen. Some of them say external evaluators, some of them say hub zone evaluation. Um, yeah. I think we have touched on a lot of great points. I also want to recognize Morgan's point, although he's left now, of how do we make sure that I mean, there are some pros or some strengths to the external evaluators because um, in that way we're really ensuring that there's no potential conflict of interest. So yeah, there's a lot to work through, and I'm glad that you agree that Alfred, that it's one of the most important processes and stages that we're at. Abdul Basit.
Sorry for taking long on this.
That's right.
I just want to quickly share something regarding the relationship that you mentioned, so that you understand the level at which we are operating at our own hub.
Yeah.
As we all understand and we agree that we are not competing against ourselves, and we are only pushing ourselves for the global stage. Being the hub lead, from the point of discussion that hub lead receive informations and perhaps they are not sharing to the participating team as expected, I always make it a duty to share as being part of a team, leading a team. I think we have the participating team on this call task, so they can refute the claim that I want to make to be false or perhaps not true. So at any point in time that I found out a kind of potential to be competitive at the global stage, I make it sure that I share across all participating team, include this in your project, include this in your documentation, include this and that in your whatever thing I make sure that I put on our team, I share with every participating team, just to stand a competitive advantage that anything can be chosen from our hub. Now, when we have the 3 spotlighted team, that was when the juggling between leading the team and coordinating the hub activities was really a lot and tough for me, to be honest. And at some point that I have that very time to complete my team documentation, I share the documentation linked to all the three spotlighted teams. I shared that very documentation that I wrote for my team to all the participating teams. I mean, the three spotlighted teams, the other two spotlighted teams, so that they look into it, see how structured I wrote the final solution page. If there's something that is resonated with them, and how best they can harness that very information that I have to have made me wrote those documentation in that very regard. I share every bit of those information with them, with the leads. And if you check, you could observe a kind of a similar written pattern from Team Osweb and Team Catalyst, if you check. And that attests to the fact and the point that participating in this program as a hub, like as being part of a team, has nothing to do with our hub objectives and mission. So I just want to clear that and clarify that. So that is why I said, for whatever team that win from our three spotlighted teams, we accepted it. Had it been that the process has been purely exercised as expected. So the argument here is the process was not, I mean, the outcome of the process was not as we expected it. We from next trend up, we are not fighting for the best team, and this is supposed to be the team. We trust all the three spotlighted team to start a competitive global advantage competition. We trusted all of the three teams to represent us well. But the argument is from other teams, no, this return shouldn't be allowed. The organizers should have done better. That was the concern, and that was the complaint. So I just want to put this out so that you understand the perspective. As a hub lead participating in a team, I make it a duty for me to put the hub as my first priority, not the team that I'm participating in. And I make it sure that for whatever team that I'll be choosing, this will stand that very global competitive advantage. So I share every bit of details that I think could be possible for us to achieve that as a whole with all teams. So just want to say that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Abdul Basit. Do you have the internal rankings already for your hub?
Of course, yes, we do. But we are not using that until you said yes. Do
Okay.
it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's close the call. I think we've covered a lot of good points. I think for me the main things are to take these solution suggestions back to WADA and propose these ideas and see what they say. We will have the WADA forum call later. The review section, which I will facilitate, is just a part of that call. So perhaps, given that we've had a very thorough conversation already now, let's maybe try to hear from other hubs as well. But of course, you're free to participate however you would like to. Okay, thank you. This was very rich, and I hope that I can assure you that I would like to find the evaluation process that works best for everybody and the evaluation outcome as well. So yeah, this is really important to me that that all perspectives, all voices are heard, and that we have all of the information to be able to make as best a choice as possible. Cool. Let's do a quick round of checkouts. Yeah, I'll hand it to someone who hasn't spoken for a while, OJ, to start things off. What are your key takeaways from this call, and how are you feeling? Or the other way around, how are you feeling, and what are your key takeaways from this call? And then pass it to someone else.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I mean, good day wherever you are. Yeah, I hope everyone is doing all right. I'm sorry I joined the call pretty late because I was in traffic. In transit most of the time, but then I was still able to to get one or two things, especially regarding what Abdul Basit and Alfred were talking about. I hope that gets solved as soon as possible. And yes, I'll be passing the mic to Usman. Yes, Usman. Hi,
So,
Usman. How you doing?
yeah. Usman, if you'd like to, we're just doing a quick checkout round on how you're feeling and what are your key takeaways from the call. Okay, maybe he's not there. If you're speaking, you're on mute, by the way. All right, let's move on. Dan, are you there? Daniel?
Yes. So, uh,
Hello.
uh, I'm feeling what I'm feeling about this meeting. I'm feeling good to be part of this meeting, and thank you for. And it was nice getting to know people, like people getting to interact with staff and Alf, Kamal, Oze, and Usman, also Amal.
Wonderful. Thanks very much. All right, Abdul Rahman, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm feeling good. This call has been long for than I expected. I realized the ending was much more in the evaluation, and I hope we I think the evaluation was okay though, from my perspective, but I was also it's good to hear from others and how they also saw things, and it's great. And during the call we talked about timeline. I wanted to chip in, but there was a lot of information and evaluation issues, so I had to wait. Where I think that was Alfred asking if you can't do it like you can live it. And say, from my perspective, we are like a team. So if someone is able to do it, you can reach out to them, they will support you. Basically, this is what there is for. Help each other, support you, to reach you. And if the same thing, they also need something else, they're not getting, they can reach out to help each other. And that's how come we can go far in the team. Anyway, it was a very good talk. Thank you. And I'll pass it on to Kamal.
Um, Thank you, Raman. It's actually nice listening from everyone, and special thanks to you, Tab, for listening to the hub's concern. And I hope our concern, all of the hub concern, is something that we'll put into consideration.
Thanks a
And
lot.
mm, hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I take on the evaluation process. And thank you once again, Tabs, for listening to us. And thank you, everyone, for sharing their concerns and everything. Thank you.
Thanks, Kamal. And who would you like to pass it on to? I think there's only Alfred and Abdul Basit left.
I think I'll pass it to my lead, Alfred.
I am here. Sorry. Uh, uh, Thank you very much, Kamal. Thanks to everybody who have participated in the conversations, and thanks to all that are listening. And thanks you, Tab, for wonderful coordinations and facilitations. You have been doing wonderfully well from day one until today. And looking forward to do more of this with you and others here that have been contributing so far since all this while. I appreciate you coming and see you next week for more discussions on our parts moving forward. Thank you very much. I'm passing the mic on to I think Daniel has spoken. I don't know if Daniel has spoken.
Yeah,
If Daniel is
and
okay, I pass the mic on to Usman.
I think okay, Osman and Abdul Basit.
Yes, Usman.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Abdul Basit. Yeah. Actually, this is my first time of being in this meeting, and I won't lie. At first, yeah, it's actually kind of like a block road. I don't really actually understand what's actually going on. But thanks to Abdurrahman, yeah, for enlightenment in the group. Yeah. Thank you so much. And Tabs, I really appreciate it's actually a wonderful experience, and talking to amazing people here, brainstorming. It's actually amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks to all.
thank you, Usman. Alfred,
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up. And again, I apologize for coming late. I don't know, I always miss out on. No, I'll soon get used to it and make sure to come early next time. So, and yeah, how am I living? I think um I think until we get started, I'll keep on living this way. I'm living with the hope and enthusiasm and also a curiosity on how this whole conversation will shift going forward, on how this whole process will develop going forward, and the continuity of this whole of Prisma's this decentralized incubation, going forward. Like, I really want to see how what it's going to be after the Cardano African Tech Summit. So I'm really, 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 excited towards let's see how it's going to develop. Yeah. So I'm living the call hopeful for what the future holds.
awesome. Then that's a wrap. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you for bringing your grievances and your concerns about the evaluation perspective. I'm really glad that you do surface those. And yeah, it's part of evolution. It's got many twists and turns. So yeah, it's great. We're still just at the start of the journey, and it's good to have so many learnings along the way. Thank you for your participations. Have a blessed, wonderful rest of your day, and see you in a few hours if you're on the Water Forum call. Adios.
Right? Bye-bye.